What would you do if your tenants flooded your property because they couldn't get their way?
So, welcome to season 1, episode 1 of Nightmare Tenants, featuring Caitlin Poor of Atrium Health and her partner Kathleen Kennedy of DHL Logistics. So, my husband and I, we have a rental property, and it's the home that we brought our kids home in from the hospital, and it's the house that we had planned to actually give to one of our children in the future. Our old tenant of 2 years was moving out, and we actually had a great experience with him. Anytime he had a concern, it was always handled and addressed promptly and professionally by my husband. And ultimately, we still have a good relationship now. So this is where we enter Miss Caitlin and Kathleen. They moved in on Super Bowl Sunday, and were only in the property for a week's time. When they moved in, they were informed that there was some paint touch-ups that needed to be completed in the kitchen just due to the removal of the popcorn ceiling. Ultimately, they were unhappy that this didn't happen in the expected timeline, but did express just how grateful they were for my husband's overall communication.
Thank you. We look forward to it. Same here. Thank you all for your communication. We certainly appreciate your availability and quick response times. I've had some bad experiences in the past. Sam, you two have been pleasant to work with so far. We will get things ironed out properly.
Communication, especially because they had apparently had a bad experience with a landlord in the past, which should have been foreshadowing maybe. But once they moved in, they had an extremely nitpicky list of demands in their words. They stated that if we did not meet their demands, that they would be moving out. Some of them were a little bit odd. They sent a message stating that they had clogged the toilet with their own human feces.
The toilet was clogged with our human feces yesterday. Great, thanks for that information. Ma'am, you better than me.
That we would need to take care of it, and that is their wording. And the wording itself kind of just gave me weird vibes. But regardless, their concerns were addressed. They were told that if they wanted to move out, that we would break their lease. But ultimately they were upset that they weren't going to get their February rent back in spite of the fact that they were living there in part of February. And they said that they would consult with legal counsel and get back to us as to whether or not they were going to remain in the property. They proceeded to use racial slurs, including the N-word, at my husband. So ultimately, he had a bad feeling about the tenants, and he stated that he was going to go out there and just do an inspection on Friday to make sure that everything was the way that it was supposed to be. So he went out on Friday, everything was in place, and fast forward to Monday, we get a call from the neighboring unit. We have a great relationship with all of our former neighbors. So they gave us a call, and they informed us that there was water damage in their home that was apparently coming from our unit. So then 2 minutes later, I get a call from my other neighbor. She's not in the neighboring unit, but she gave me a call, and she said that there's something going on at our house. There's water all in the street. She said she thought it was because it was raining, but she noticed that it was coming from all around our property. And so I asked her if our tenants were still there. She said that they left on Saturday morning. She said that a moving truck woke her up, and she said that they had a crew of 20 people, and they were basically hustling to get out of there quick. And so she knew something was going on. So we get in the car and we head to our old rental property, which is about an hour and a half away from where we live. And we get a call from the HOA, and they told us that they suspected that there was foul play. So as we're pulling up to the property, we see water just covering the parking lot. There's water on the outside of our house, water surrounding the property, coming out the side paneling. The fire alarm is going off. We open the door, and there is water everywhere. The entire first and second level is completely covered with water. It's seeping through everything.
Y'all probably would have seen my mug shot, because they would have caught these hands until they was black and blue. Because ain't no freaking way. First and foremost, she a little bit too nice for me. Because when they would have called me and told me that the toilet is plugged with that human feces, I'd been like, look, don't text me that. You don't have a plunger? See, some people be playing with you. They be testing their boundaries. they're managing their own property. So I wonder whether or not they did a background check on these individuals before they allowed them to move in. Also, I think one thing that they could have possibly done as well is check these people's social media. Social media will let you know what type of time these people be on. And I mean thoroughly check it. Don't just look at their LinkedIn and be like, oh, they got the job and blah, blah, blah. Because those two didn't just become racist overnight. Because they would have called me nigga once. And if they used the hard ER, I would have been like, oh, okay. All right, I'll see you about out.
And basically the ceiling is caving in. So the fire department had to come to shut the alarm off, and they pointed out where Caitlin and Kathleen had actually unscrewed the toilet and damaged the pipe to where they could tell that it was intentionally done. We saw where both of the pipes on both toilets were destroyed. And the water was turned on, so basically it would run and flood the place. So they completely destroyed our home to the point where it is uninhabitable.
That roof is gone.
And not only that, but the neighbor's home is now destroyed. And, you know, me personally, I'm not understanding how anyone could do this to someone's home, especially when my husband was nothing but accommodating and professional with them. And it really honestly just takes it a step further when Caitlin, who works for Atrium as a PA on emergency, would think it was a good idea to create a safety hazard and a fire hazard in a unit attached to other homes where there are children and elderly people living literally next door.
Man, it's blowing my mind that you can't believe they did something like that. They called your husband an N-word boldly through text message. So that lets me know they feel comfortable using that type of language. And they felt like they could use it with y'all with no consequences. That's number one. You're dealing with somebody that's racist. You take them at their word. And you understand that nothing is beneath them. Nothing. I wouldn't accept a glass of water from them. It is Black History Month. History is your best teacher when it comes to people like that. Okay, the tactics that they used on you is not new. It's old. They used to do this to our ancestors. When they see that you have something that they feel like you should not have, they will destroy it by any means. And they will try to destroy you. They'll do it through false accusations. Some people will sabotage your business by giving you hateful reviews. They'll vandalize your property. And depending on how extreme they want to go, they can kind of calm down on it. But they will commit domestic terrorism against your community without no consequence whatsoever. And we saying, man, Black Wall Street that y'all always hearing about, that wasn't the only wealthy Black community that was destroyed. It's a story right now that came out, I believe, last year. These Black farmers, racist individuals out there poisoning their animals. So you got to be careful. And since Caitlin wanted to be funny, I would have sent this video to her job. Because this right here, this is a fireable offense. She don't need to be working with nobody. Especially not in the medical field where she is trying to provide care and she's racist. That ceiling was about to cave in from the water pressure. That's going to have to be replaced. Water damaging your walls and your floors. And they did it without a care in the world and then ran away like some cowards.
And then following the incident, when we called them regarding the flood, they stated that they were not going to talk about it and that they just wanted to return their keys back. So,
see, that's where you need to be on their time, talking about they don't want to talk about it and they just want to turn their keys back. Where you want to meet at? What location work best for you? What time work best for you? Because my schedule is free. I don't normally do this, but for you, I'm going to make an exception. If they say outside the police station, bet.
Obviously, audacity is running at an all-time high on this Tuesday, and it's in moments like these when I'm reminded that while God is real, demons are too, because this is nothing but demonic behavior to intentionally vandalize someone's home to the point where we can no longer enter the property, let alone have somebody live there. All of the time and the money and the investment is, gone and wasted. This was truly an act of pure evil, and, these two people really need to be held accountable for their actions. And it's truly a shame that anyone could really do something like this. On our end, we have filed a police report. We have contacted their employers. We'll continue to keep you updated as we document the progression of all of this. We've, of course, contacted our lawyers. It's an unfortunate and an unnecessary situation. And while it's a huge hit, we're just trusting in God and remaining positive. And we just ask for your continued prayers during this time. But ultimately, we know that everything will work out for the better. So I hope that your Tuesday is happier than ours is. But that's it for season 1, episode 1. Catch y'all on episode 2.
And I'm happy that y'all were able to catch that in time. What they did to their home is what they wanted to do to them. They wanted to drown them in debt. They wanted to destroy their revenue source. And to an extent, they succeeded. But they have filed a lawsuit. They have a police investigation is ongoing.
So I just wanted to hop on here really quickly to express our sincere gratitude for everyone who has reached out, all of the calls, the messages, the donations. We truly are appreciative of all of your support throughout this devastating time. Really quickly, I did want to shed light that the girls who did this are no longer on social media. And so there are other girls with the same name who are being contacted, and I just wanted to be clear that they are not the girls who did this in this situation. So once again, we just thank you for all of your continued support. We just ask that you all would pray for us throughout this time, and just stay optimistic with us as we continue to work towards a resolution.
I hope everything works out for them. Godspeed with your rebuild. Me either the ceiling is starting to fall apart today. Yeah. Oh, that's gonna have to be replaced. And also, her name is Haley Morgan. You find her on TikTok _Haley Wood. And as always, remember that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and stay blessed.